Hi creators, welcome back to the Zen Studio channel. Today is a really exciting day. I'm going to take you through one of our projects and I'm going to talk to you about the design behind the brand. This is a brand that we created last year. It's very near and dear to my heart. It's quite unique and I really love the client that we created this for. This brand, this logo is also doing really well on Pinterest, so I thought it may be a good idea to talk to you about the design choices that we have made and how we actually came up with the entire visual strategy for this brand. This video I think is going to be really fun because we're finally talking design, we're talking design trends, we're talking about how you can visually convey a message to your audience. And that is really important because before anyone talks to you, they first take a look at the assets that you have created online, and your logo is one of those assets. Before we dive in, I just wanted to take a second and introduce myself. I'm Vanessa. I co-own a branding and web design studio called Zen, and I have been working with women in wellness for the last 7 years. I created this channel to share with you, first of all, my knowledge on how to build a successful online business, but also things like this to show you the design thinking behind a brand and tell you exactly why we have made the decisions that we have. So if this interests you, please like and subscribe this video. It helps me more than you know. It lets me know that you like this type of content, and if you like it, maybe others might as well. Thank you so much, and let's dive in the video. The brand that we are talking about today is Metamorphia. This is a brand that we launched last year. We worked with the wonderful Ashley, who is a psychotherapist in New York City, and she came to us when she was ready to start her own practice. She had been an associate in someone else's practice for a little while, not for very long. She had just graduated and she knew that she wanted to create her own brand. She had a vision for her own brand and she was doing things a little differently. So of course she wanted to create her own practice. She reached out to us because she found some other logos that we have created on Pinterest, and from the moment that I sat down and talked to her, I thought this was going to be a really interesting project and one that I really wanted to take. You have to understand that when it comes to design, when it comes to building brands, and when it comes to being creative, as creatives ourselves, we risk falling into a trap of designing the same brands, right? Especially if you work within a niche, it's very easy to want to standardize things, to have a linear process that everybody goes through. And of course, that is a smart business practice as well. But there are certain things that you simply cannot standardize. When it comes to branding, I believe that branding should not be standardized. Everybody can create their own unique brand. There is space for all of us in this marketplace, and we can each create something that truly speaks to our customers. Each one of us has the chance of creating something unique, a business that does things differently. And this is exactly what Ashley wanted to create. From the discovery call, from the moment that I heard the name of the brand, I was incredibly inspired, like I said, to want to work with Ashley. But she picked a really good name. And, you know, I don't think we often talk about how important a brand name is. A lot of people think about it on a surface level. They want to have a good brand name. They spend hours looking for something that sounds good, but a lot of the times they end up with rather generic names, or on the other end of the spectrum, they end up with hyper-specific names that read like a list of keywords. So, you know, yes, you have to do your research, but you also have to think about your audience, and you also have to think about who you are and the type of brand that you want to create. I haven't talked about this before, but I think that it's a really important distinction to make between the type of entrepreneurs that we are versus the regular type of entrepreneur. I like to think of ourselves as lifestyle entrepreneurs. So you and me, I think that we are lifestyle entrepreneurs. We want to create businesses that fit in with our lifestyle, and that is incredibly important to us. This is why personally I like to work with women in wellness. Wellness has always been a topic that has interested me. I've been reading and getting informed about spirituality, esoteric knowledge, biohacking, all of these things for the last decade. And this is not something that I do just because it has to do with my job. This is something that I do because it inherently matches my lifestyle, and this is knowledge that I personally want to acquire. So when building my business, I wanted to create a business that reflected those values. If I were to come into work every single day and design, once again, very standard brands, or maybe design websites for, I don't know, auto shop repairs or something very generic, things that I have no interest in, I would really not enjoy my life as much as I do now. So I wanted to create a business that matches my lifestyle. And this is exactly the vision that I see my clients have. They want to create a business that matches their lifestyle. They don't just want to own a business and go to work day in, day out. And at the end of the day, when they clock out, they leave that all behind and move on with their lives, right? All of the people that we have worked with have had an intimate connection with the brands they are building. And I think that's really beautiful. So your brand is a reflection of you, especially if you are a lifestyle entrepreneur like myself, like my audience. If you are watching this video, you most likely are. Spend some time and think about yourself and think about the brand that you want to create. Most of us will not get to create more than a handful of brands in our lifetimes. So when you are building a brand, take the time, be intentional, make sure that you are speaking to the right audience, and take the time to see if the business that you are building matches your lifestyle. And if it's not, go back to the drawing board. You can find something that works for you, and you can create a really cool and interesting brand at the same time. All that being said, the brand that we are discussing today is Metamorphia. And like I said, I really love this name. Metamorphia is a trauma-informed, queer-affirming therapy practice offering in-person and virtual care, including talk therapy and ketamine-assisted psychotherapy for clients navigating transformation, integration, and the deeper work of becoming. So with a mission like that, obviously the brand name Metamorphia works really, really well here. When you think of Metamorphia, you instinctively think metamorphosis, and you instinctively think transformation. If all of us could have a brand name that is so poignant, that attracts you at first glance, that pulls you in, half of the job of branding would already be done. So in looking at Metamorphia, the challenge with this brand was to merge the depth of its name with the credibility and professionalism that Ashley displays in her sessions and in her treatment. Ashley's vision held both this rigorous clinical expertise and the intuitive spiritual wisdom that the brand needed to carry without collapsing into either extreme. In other words, the work that we were doing with Ashley required legitimacy and trustworthiness for the psychedelic-assisted care while still feeling soulful, mystical, and human the way Ashley was. With something like psychedelic-assisted care, you don't want to seem too mystical. You don't want to seem too woo-woo, especially as a therapist. You want to convey that people can trust you on this incredibly vulnerable journey. And they need to know that, first of all, they are in good hands. When creating a brand like this, the tension is clear. If the brand leans too clinical, it loses its heart. But if it leans too abstract, then it loses its clarity and its credibility. With all of this in mind, then what did we do? Well, we first anchored the visual identity with the metaphor of metamorphosis, specifically the chrysalis as the in-between stage where transformation takes root. The visual and verbal system was then designed to evoke emergence, to evoke softness, to evoke that inner change and the quiet power of evolution. It's easy for me to explain these concepts to you now that the brand is finished, but if you are actually wondering how did we come up with these ideas, how did we decide that if the brand leans too clinical, it's not good, but if it leans too woo-woo, it's not good again. How did we figure that out? Did we just decide that the brand shouldn't lean too clinical? Did we just talk to Ashley once, asked her what the vibe was, and then just kind of came up with these concepts out of thin air? Absolutely not. Actually, every single project starts with a very thorough questionnaire in which we ask our clients about their audience, about their vision, but also about the person that they are. And again, we do this because the brands that we build are lifestyle brands for the people that we build them for. So we want to know exactly what they want to create and what are their beliefs about the world. That is incredibly important and is really the reason why we are then able to conduct the proper research, find the proper target audience, and look at how this target audience behaves in the world. For Ashley, if we're taking a look at her audience, they are primarily women and non-binary individuals aged 25 to 40. So again, because they are aged 25 to 40, they are mostly based in New York. Ashley does in-person and virtual therapy, as I mentioned, and most of them, and this is the clients clients that she has already worked with. Most of them are creatives, they're healers, they're empaths, and they are already engaged in this inner work. Now, Ashley has been cultivating this audience from the beginning, and the way she was able to do that was by having a really deeper knowledge of who she is as a person and the people that she is trying to help. So she has been already able to curate her audience. And with that knowledge, knowing that they are creatives, healers, and empaths, obviously we can afford to have a brand name that is a little bit more mystical. We're also talking about a millennial and Gen Z audience. This audience is already familiar with spirituality, but not only are they familiar with spirituality, but if you look at the last couple of years, the trends that we had over the last decade, every single brand has been coming out with the same aesthetic. It's become a very homogeneous aesthetic where everything looks the same. Every single brand has the clean aesthetic, which works. Once again, I'm not saying that that doesn't work, but if you want to create a brand that stands out, you have to create some sort of a pattern interrupt in your audience's mind, especially when it comes to therapy. In this case, we're talking about psychotherapy, and I can almost guarantee you that out of 100 psychotherapists out there, 90 of them have exactly the same website with the same language, and there's the 10 that are trying to do something different. And now, if you are someone that has been looking for a therapist that has been in this world for quite a while, are you going to go for another generic run-of-the-mill therapist, or are you going to look at something different? And again, with a name like Metamorphia, that inspires something in you. It pulls at your need to change. And that is even before having any sort of experience with the brand. This was a long parenthesis, but I thought it was really important to cover just to show you that no, ideas don't come out of thin air. You have to base your decisions on facts and on research. Now that we have an even better understanding of the audience, let's take a look at the wordmark. So for any of you that haven't worked with us, we always start by creating the wordmark first. The wordmark really influences the design of the icon. So we like to start there. We always give our clients two bespoke options to choose from. And once we have picked a direction for the wordmark, we then move on into the logo icon. I'll show you the two wordmarks that we have created for Metamorphia because they have quite a different energy, and you'll understand why it's important to first pick the wordmark and then create the icon. Okay, so if we take a look at the first wordmark, which is the one that Ashley actually ended up choosing, you can see right here that first of all, it's a really captivating logo. It's beautiful on site. It pulls you in. It's retro, but it's intentional as well. It's a custom serif typeface inspired by 70s design. And we created this specifically as a subtle nod to the psychedelic therapy without being too overt. This retro influence connects to the brand's work with altered states while still maintaining a grounded and intentional aesthetic. We also wanted to create something that is professional but soulful. So once again, going back to our mission, while this logo feels polished and established, it still avoids that coldness of clinical branding that you often see in therapy practices. It strikes that delicate balance between serious enough for therapeutic work, yet warm and inviting for the soul-curious client. The next thing we'll notice when we're looking at this logo is the symbolic lettering. This custom serif typeface features these organic curves and subtle quirks that reflect the brand's essence of transformation and evolution. It mirrors the fluidity of inner work and adds personality and depth, making the brand feel considerate and unique. And finally, as with all logos that we create, we wanted to create something that is timeless, not something that is trendy. Again, we just talked about this, but if you take a look at the last 10 years of design, you can see how many brands are creating the exact same look. Many come to mind to me. Maybe it's because I'm in this line of work. On the other hand, when we're looking at the Metamorphia logo, you can see that it's timeless. It works just as well now as it will in 10 years and as it would have 10 years ago. So while it taps into that vintage aesthetic, the design does avoid being dated or overly stylized. Its minimal intentional form ensures it will grow with the brand over time. I will also show you the second option that Ashley did not pick, and I still like it very much. I think it's working really well. This one you can see right off the bat that it's a lot more whimsical, and the reason why we chose such a whimsical font was because in Ashley's strategy and in her vision, whimsy was something that she wanted wanted to achieve. She's very into fairy core herself, and this is why we created this design. This one is a little bit more folklore inspired. It feels like it's almost been pulled from the pages of an old storybook, and actually that was the inspiration behind the logo. Those storybook typefaces of our childhood, it immediately invokes the sense of myth, the sense of magic, a little bit of mystery as well, right? And once again, that works really well with Metamorphia because it seamlessly aligns with its mystical, soul-rooted approach to therapy. Another thing that you'll notice with this logo are the unique symbolic letter forms, just like the last one. Here we have other distinctive details like the sculptural P that you can see over here and the angled A. These add character and they add intrigue. And this is exactly what we want to do with the logo. We want to spark that curiosity. We want people to venture deeper and find out more. So with this logo, we wanted to signal a brand that's deeply personal and not mass produced. Obviously, in this one, we also have very fluid and organic forms. It has kind of almost like a hand-drawn quality to it. It has those gentle curves that gives the logo a sense of movement and transformation. It almost feels alive in the way it mirrors the non-linear embodied journey of healing. At the end of the day, it's a logo that draws you in. It feels intimate, it feels poetic, and it feels slightly mysterious. It speaks directly to an audience that craves that depth, that craves that symbolism and that resonance beyond the surface. Ashley ended up going with option number 1, but I still think this is a very, very good logo. It's a very good option. It really matches the vision that she had for her brand. We ticked all her boxes with both of these logos, and it was really difficult for her to choose between the two. Ultimately, the other logo that she did end up picking, if we look at them side by side here, you can see that the other logo is slightly more polished, a little bit more professional, and I do think that she made the right choice here. Before we move on to the icon design, I just wanted to take a second and thank you so much for watching. If you find this content helpful, please like and subscribe. Put your comment below. It really helps me more than you think. It lets me know that you girls actually want to see these design breakdowns, and I can make more so that we can continue having these conversations. Okay, back to the video. For the logo icon, as I already mentioned, we also give 2 options as well. In this case, both of them are really good. This was, again, such an incredible project to do, and I really appreciate that Ashley pretty much gave us carte blanche to what we can do, and I'm just obsessed with the logo that we ended up creating. As I already mentioned, this is trending heavily on Pinterest, which lets us know that other people are also resonating with this design, and it's such a cool opportunity to be able to share it with you here and discuss the reasoning behind why we made certain choices. So without further ado, let's look at the first logo icon, and you can see it here paired with the wordmark that Ashley has chosen, and honestly it looks really beautiful. So when looking at this logo, the first thing we see is going to be the butterflies and most probably the eye. We chose the butterfly as the main symbol for a Metamorphia because once again it signals the transformations that clients undergo when working with Ashley. The butterfly, just like Ashley's clients, also goes through a metamorphosis to become the better version of itself when it emerges from the chrysalis and finally spreads its wings and flies. So it is a symbol of deep metamorphosis, representing the profound cycles of death, transformation, and rebirth. In Metamorphia's icon, it captures the essence of that threshold, that liminal space between what was and what is becoming. Much like the chrysalis phase, this space is quiet, it's often uncomfortable, yet rich with possibility. Spiritually, also, the butterfly has been long associated with soul's evolution, mirroring the journey of shedding outdated identities in order to emerge in fuller alignment with one's truth. The second thing that you'll notice when you look at this logo, or maybe it was the first thing that you noticed, the central dot can be interpreted as the inner eye or the point of stillness. It evokes presence, consciousness, and the witnessing self, that self that stays steady through all states of changes. In this logo in particular, it also offers a sense of center, inviting grounded awareness amid movement and multiplicity. We have worked with the eye in quite a few of our logos. Obviously, because of its meaning, it comes up a lot in spiritual circles, and a lot of our clients wanted to represent it in their logos. The beauty of creative thinking and of design, though, is that you can take a concept that has been done before and you can spin it in a new way. You can find new ways of evoking that same feeling. In our case here, we didn't set out to necessarily necessarily create the eye, but the eye was what was the result of what we created. In spiritual traditions, it is often known as the inner eye or the third eye, a portal to intuitive knowing and direct insight into the nature of self and reality. In this case, drawing from both mystical and therapeutic lineages, this eye speaks to the conscious awakening that comes through deeper inner work and expanded states of insight. At the center of Metamorphia's logo, this eye becomes a mirror and a guide, a reminder that healing is not always about becoming someone new, but about seeing yourself clearly enough to remember who you've always been. If we go even deeper into the symbolism of this logo, the next thing you'll notice is the reflection of the two butterflies, and we intentionally mirrored the butterflies to introduce another layer of symbolism that speaks to duality, to integration, and to transformation. In this case, the two butterflies represent the relationship between the seen and the unseen, the shadow self and the emerging self, the past that we outgrown and the future that we are stepping into. And in this balanced, contained form, they reflect the inner dialogue at the heart of healing, where wholeness is not found by choosing one part over the other, but by holding all parts in conscious relationship. Furthermore, this duality mirrors the therapeutic process itself, where we meet what has been in order to make space for what's about to unfold. Finally, which is the first thing that I have noticed in this logo, it is Rorschach quality. This design, and let me know in the comments if you have seen it as well, but this design subtly echoes the visual structure of a Rorschach ink block. And for those of you that don't know, that is a psychological tool that used to be used in the past to reveal unconscious thoughts through open interpretation. It is not a method used anymore, but it is a subtle nod to the past. And this abstract symmetrical quality invites each viewer to see something personal within its form. In the context of Metamorphia's work, then, it once again mirrors the therapeutic process itself, where meaning arises from what is seen, felt, and surfaced from within. The logo then becomes a mirror of the inner landscape, honoring the unique unfolding of each client's experience. Okay, now let's take a look at the second logo we created. And I really like this one too. Okay, here it is. I will tell you right off the bat that this is not the option that Ashley chose. She went with the first option, and I think it was the right choice. But then again, it's good to have options, you know? It's good to explore concepts. It's good to explore symbols through different concepts so that you know exactly what resonates with you and what resonates with your brand. And this is exactly what we did with the second option. We took those same symbols and we interpreted them differently. Right off the bat, you can tell that this one is a lot more psychedelic inspired. But yet again, we have the butterfly, you know, the sacred symbol of metamorphosis. It again represents the profound cycles of death, transformation, and rebirth. This is a symbol that you really cannot miss in this logo, right? It's very prominent. Here, it's much more present. It's almost looking through you. You get such a visceral sensation when you look at this logo. It pulls you in almost, don't you find? All of these shapes, the way we played with the negative space, the organic forms of this logo, they all simply pull you in, and it's almost like you don't want to stop looking at it. And clearly, you can also see the psychedelic influence that this logo has. This fusion of the symbolic elements, the butterfly and the eye, it hints at these expanded states of consciousness where perception shifts and deeper truths emerge. This aspect of the icon reflects healing work that moves beyond the surface, and its dissolving pattern, which is what you see here at the bottom, its dissolving pattern, this aspect of the icon reflects the healing work that moves beyond the surface. This Metamorphia icon speaks to the unseen world that we enter when a rational mind softens, inviting mystery, vision, and remembrance. The threshold where the soul reclaims its voice and the self is rewoven with greater wholeness. If we were to take a look at the two icons now side by side with the custom word mark, we can see that the first option, it's intuitive, it's introspective, and when you're in the middle of doing that personal work, you will likely experience this logo as subtle yet extremely significant. Its simplicity aims not to overwhelm, but instead to invite in that that quiet curiosity that we all have. It offers a space to project, to reflect, and to connect in a way that feels personal and meaningful without demanding interpretation. This logo, when we look at it, rather than feeling performative, it will come across as calm, steady, and intentional, qualities that Ashley's audience is already seeking within their healing process. This form feels grounded, even sacred, like a symbol that holds space rather than filling it. For many, this will feel less like a logo and more like a visual anchor, a gentle affirmation that they've arrived in a place where the inner work will be met with intention and care. If we look at the second option, then this one too is a logo that invites introspection. It offers a sense of depth. It doesn't ask for interpretation. It asks for presence and for clarity. The forms reflect the emotional and spiritual terrain that Metamorphia's clients are moving through that transformation, that inner vision, and reaching those thresholds of becoming someone new. With its blend of the eye, the butterfly, and the soft symmetry that we see, this logo evokes emergence and intuitive knowing. And the symbols behind it offer more than meaning. They hold that feeling, the sense of something sacred taking space. Tell me in the comments which one of these two logos you would have picked for your practice. I'm really happy to say that Ashley went with option number one, even though I really love option number two. And as you guys will see through the video, you can see the many different applications in which we have put this logo. But yes, take a look, and I would love to know your thoughts, and I would love to know which one you would have picked for your practice. Now, I'm only giving you a brief overview as to why we chose a certain direction, what are the symbols behind the logos that we created, but you have to understand that there's a lot of work that went behind the scenes, behind designing each and every single one of these logos. Every single choice is intentional, from the negative space that we use, to the borders that we use in our logos, to the symbols, to the way that the symbols are represented. We take the time to really look at the mission that the brand has, the person behind the brand, the audience that will experience the brand. We take a look at all of those different parts to then create those very unique logos. These are not done overnight. We put our heart and soul into every single one of these logos, and I really hope that you appreciate it as much as we have. I hope that you are someone that understands the importance of design and someone that can truly feel the different emotions that these brand identities evoke. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we also build the Metamorphia website, and I can spend an entire video taking you through the different sections, share with you exactly why we chose to design the user journey and the way that we did. If that is of interest to you, please put it in the comments. I would love to make another video about Metamorphia. Comment your thoughts, comment which one you would have picked. Tell me if you like this logo, tell me if you like the design, and tell me the ideas that you have for your own brand. I would love to know what you are creating. To end the video, I just wanted to say that Metamorphia now holds a paradox that feels coherent. It's scientific and spiritual. It is clinical and creative. It is grounded and transcendent. This is the energy that we have spent weeks infusing into this logo, and I believe that we have achieved what we set out to do. The brand reflects Ashley's capacity to guide transformation with steadiness, with reverence, and it reads as a clear invitation to clients who are ready to meet themselves fully and begin again. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Vanessa. I co-own a branding and web design studio called Zen, and I like having these conversations with you so we can dive deeper into the world of design. If this is of interest to you, please like this video and subscribe so that I know you're watching, and I'll see you in the next one.